Nice little wet day, but can't pick the weather. It's always an adventure. Thought I'd try to get out and do this short video just on the mods I've done to the Africa Twin, maybe even some upcoming plans for this year. Go here, but it's quite miserable out, that's for sure. Slick, very slick on this asphalt. Yep. Not real sure where I'm going here. Off-road tires and wet asphalt. Breaker loose quick. I'm starting to fog up here. It's one of the things I need is a pin lock shield for my MRA XD4. I love the helmet, but man, it fogs up easy. I think I'm just gonna flip around here and go to where I know I can get away from concrete and people. This thing's got traction control. Oh, that sounds so good. I'll show you in the video, but I just recently picked up a carbon fiber pipe. Man, does it sound good. I have the DB killer in it right now, but that's just because without it, it is obnoxiously loud. It's just about perfect with it in. With you here in a second. Alright guys, so here's the bike. If you don't know, it's a 2016 Honda Africa Twin with the DCT automatic. And I'm sure somebody's going to ask a question, how do you like it? Well, I love it. It takes a little getting used to off-road. You can't just slip the clutch, you have to drag the rear brake. But once you get the hang of it, it performs really well. I really enjoy it. It's so nice to drive in traffic too. Because this isn't just an adventure bike for me. I commute on it every once in a while too. But I guess I'll just start from the top and work my way down. Up top here, I have an MRA Vario Windscreen. The stock one was a little too short for me and I was getting some buffeting issues. This one works really well. One of the issues is for airflow, you get a little bit of buffeting right in here. There's some kits to try to fix that, and I might eventually try to do something about that. But next up is RAM mount for the phone. Works great. Never had a phone fall out of it. Very cheap too. I think I paid 30 bucks for the whole setup there. Oxford heated grips. These get really hot. So hot that you have to turn them down because your hands are on fire. But they work really good. Very easy to install. Simple to wire up. You have trimming them to fit, kind of difficult. You make sure you have a sharp razor blade. Other than that, no problems with them. I've also got some 20mm bar risers. The stock wasn't too bad. Standing up though, I just wanted a little bit higher handlebars, just so I don't have to hunch down at all. Right here I've got the Touratech small tank bag. It's got a map holder up top. Very nice, easy to read. I usually leave this off in the summer. I don't want the sun to make it fade or make it hard to read through. That's plenty of storage. I wouldn't want anything bigger. It kind of already gets in the way when you're standing up and trying to lean forward on the tank. But I think I can manage with it there. I wanted something small enough to where I could still stand up very easily. Next up, I've got some Barkbusters. These are the Storm version. Fairly easy to install. A little bit of moving stuff around to try to get it to fit. Not too hard though. There's probably a little extra bracket for the DCT to try to pull the park brake lever a little bit closer to the handlebar. I wanted to wait for the Touratech version, as they don't have an aluminum backbone that can bend. They're made of really hard plastic and they bend back to shape very easily, but kind of got tired of waiting for those to come out. Next here I've got Touratech Headlight guard. It comes off and on really easily. I think it provides just enough protection. You don't really see the grates through with the beam. I don't think it obstructs very much light at all, and plus it just looks badass. I've also got Touratech upper lower crash bars as well as skid plate. I've already dropped the bike probably a dozen or so times. Took an off-road class and that's where I dropped it most of the time. They're very sturdy. They haven't allowed any damage to the bike whatsoever. The mounts are very strong. They haven't bent, and you can see right here I got a pretty good little crash there. This scratching was already done before. And then the skid plate is very robust. I put it to the test on the K Trail in Oklahoma. It took a good beating. I took it off and bent it back in shape, actually, but it's still strong. I don't have any issues with that. I don't expect I will either. Back here, these are Bumot Panniers. I really like these. These are very sturdy, and I like the latching mechanism and everything about these better than most every other box that is available. To undo them, you just flip that up and they pull right off. It's super easy. They lock, they're very secure. Those aren't coming off. Same thing with the hinges. Very tight. And when you open it, it's got a friction hinge so you can leave it open however you want. Makes good for using it as a table when you're out camping and stuff. I guess I'll go ahead and pull this off so you can see the pipe. Like I said, it's just a cheap carbon fiber pipe. Sounds amazing. It really does. This 270-degree crank in this engine just has a deep throaty sound. Without this dB killer in there, though, it is very loud. I left it in there because on the highway I don't want any drone, and I get headaches very easily, and I didn't want to deal with that. But it still sounds really good. It's a lot more quieter. Yeah. Anyway, I have Karoo 3 tires on there. I've just about worn this one down. I bought these for the K Trail. They did great. They really did. Cornering, full confidence. A little slick on the wet. Every tire is, though, especially an off-road tire. I think I'm going to be switching these over to the Shinko 804, 805 big blocks, as I have a pretty big trip planned, and I think I need a more dirt-oriented tire. And then on that note, plans for this year. Let's see. We weren't able to attempt the K Trail, or finish the K Trail, due to a bust-out bead on a tire. I had hit a rock and broke the right foot peg mount off right about here, so I was actually using the rear foot peg here, and it's a good thing I didn't do it on the other side with a manual bike, because then you would have no way to shift. So pluses on the automatic for that, but it's very difficult to do the trail with one foot peg and then trying to rest your foot up on the passenger peg. That is really difficult. But I'm going to be trying to do the New Mexico BDR. I've already kind of got the route laid out, how I want to get there. I think I'm going to start in Carlsbad and skip the Del City portion. And for those of you that don't know, it's about 1,200 miles of route through New Mexico, and about 80% of it's off-road. So about 900 to 1,000 miles off-road. From my house here, it's about 800 miles to Carlsbad. So we're looking at 2,000 plus miles of trip. And that's if we don't decide to trailer the bikes there, which I don't think we will. That's not part of the adventure, Getting there and back is the whole deal. But yeah, I'm going to switch the tires. I think it can be a very grueling off-road, especially if it rains. You're pretty much stuck there because it turns into slick grease. Lots of sand. I just need a more off-road oriented tire, and I don't want spend the money on the TKC80s when I can get the Shinkos and they'll last a little longer as well for the 1,000 miles of asphalt riding that we'll be doing as well. What else do I got? Let's see. I'm probably going to try to switch the rear to a tubeless setup using the Audix kit off eBay. The front, I don't mind being a tube. It's very easy to take the front off. The rear, a lot more time consuming, especially if you don't have a center stand. And the guy I'm riding with is on 1190R. He's got a very similar setup. I will not be using the hard boxes for this route. I rode with a guy who had hard boxes. He had some Touratech Panniers, and just a simple rut caught him off guard. He went down and the boxes broke his femur in his leg. So I do have some Wolfman soft bags. They mount up to these Bumot Pannier racks fairly easily enough, and I just don't want to worry about having a broken leg going down. Eventually I want to get the soft version of the Bumot Panniers. They use the same rack. They have the same locking mechanism. They're about $600 though, so that'll be on the list. Other stuff I have to get for the trip, I'm going to be getting a Carlsbad, the Klume Carlsbad jacket, I believe. I've test fit it. It feels so good. I've never had a real premium jacket, so I think that'll be really nice. I'm also going to try to get the pants. I've got Forma boots. These have been great. They're comfortable. I'm riding in them all day. I'll probably get some gloves. I've already got my camping set up. I use a MRA Mountain Research tent. It's the Elixir 2, I believe. I've got a cook set up. I mean, I've got everything else I need. So future upgrades for this bike though, I've rode on another Africa Twin that had some cheap suspension work done to it. It had the just springs replaced on it, and I believe they were a company out of Germany. I forgot the name of them, but it totally changes the bike. They did heavier springs up front with a heavier weight oil and a heavier spring in the rear. It felt like a giant dirt bike. It was unbelievable how much better control it felt like he had. So that's on the list. Eventually, probably after the BDR, I think I'll complete the BDR with the stock suspension. I'm just going to crank everything up to be a little bit tighter. Pretty much got the rear already maxed out on preload, so hopefully that won't cause me too many issues. I just need to bump up the compression a little bit. But other than that, that's my bike. If you have any questions, give me a shout. Be more than glad to answer them. And thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I can start getting some videos out this year. I know I haven't done any very regularly at all, but I'd like to try to get, turn this New Mexico BDR into a couple part series and really try to showcase what this bike can do. I mean, I don't have very much dirt experience, but I feel like I'm very capable of piloting this 550 pound beast with all the mods plus my gear through the New Mexico BDR. So I'll catch you then. It'll probably happen in, I believe I want to try to shoot for leaving the first or second week of June. That's supposedly a really good time to be riding through New Mexico. So I'll see you then. Thanks for subscribing. Later.